Okay, awesome. We have our browser. Now what? Well, I believe I told you that we needed also a text editor. So we can put our good old friend Google right now already, since it is on our machine to use, and we can just search for the Visual Studio Code. And again, same old spiel. You can just say Visual Studio Code. Well, we're not going to be looking for logo. We're going to be looking for the Visual Studio Code. And notice this is going to be the first link that pops up. So again, bravely, without hesitation, we just head over here. And as you can see, it tells me right away what operating system I'm on. And it says, well, here is the download buddy. Okay, so I'm just going to click it over here. So this is going to start my download again. The installation package is going to be available to us in a second. And again, obviously, if you're using different operating system, they will going to provide you with a proper installation package for your operating system. Now here you can see that this would be my download. So I can just open it over here. And once I have it right next to Google Chrome, I have my Visual Studio Code. Now, again, the same old spiel. I would just need to grab this and just drag and drop it in my application. Maybe close this. I don't need the actual browser open. And again, it will gonna ask you, are you okay with this? Well, obviously we are, since we want to work with this. And before we do anything, again, I'm gonna keep this in a doc. So I'm just gonna say options and keep it in a doc. Now, once we open up the Visual Studio Code, and you know what, let me just make this bigger so it's a little bit easier to see, we're going to be met by a welcoming screen. Now, in the welcoming screen, we have a few options. We can open up a new file, open the folder, and as you can see, we can also customize this. Now, this is going to be the first time when you're actually downloading Visual Studio Code. Obviously, you're not going to have the recent projects. The only reason I do is because I had to reinstall the Visual Studio Code just so we can go through all the steps together. Now, I'm not going to spend tons of times right now on Visual Studio Code because I would like last but not least regarding Visual Studio Code, something that will going to be important, especially later on, as we're going to be working a little more and more with Visual Studio Code, it's the settings. So if you click on this cog all the way in the bottom, notice it's going to give us settings. Now, settings allow us to customize the workspace. So let's say we want a bigger font size. So I could change this from 12 to, let's say, 22. If I would want a different tab size, again, we can just change this around. And what I'm trying to tell you is that as the more you're going to be working with your actual text editor, there's going to be times when you're changing your settings to adjust whether that's going to be an extension or just for your personal preferences. Now, also, the settings are in fact in a JSON object. So this would be basically a graphical interface how we can work with the settings. However, if let's say I'm going to change the setting from font size, let's say I'm going to save that this is going to be 22. And once I make the changes are going to be automatically saved. However, there's also an option for the JSON object. And within the JSON object, notice something interesting. So now these would be my settings. As you notice, I changed